Awesome.
This meeting is being recorded.
Okie dokie. All right, what I would like to do now is introduce the moderator for tonight, Joanne Gabrinovich. I'm learning how to say her name so well. And we're so glad Joanne has joined our board of directors. She's just wonderful. Joanne is Professor Emerita and Director Emerita of the National Center for Remote Sensing, Air and Space Law at the University of Mississippi Law School. And she also was editor-in-chief of the Journal of Space Law for 12 years. She and her husband have lots of nieces and nephews, and they've recently adopted Murphy, who is a Chihuahua, and Casey, who is a Bichon Frise. And that means it's a curly lap dog. I looked that up. I'm going to turn it over to Joanne to introduce our wonderful panel.
There's two corrections. They adopted us. They were
Okay. Okay.
and she may be a curly lapdog, but she's got attitude. So, all right. First of all, I'd like to say hello to everybody. It's so good to see so many faces that I know, and I'm really excited about tonight's program. The subject is, as you know, is local food insecurity, and we have the benefit of having three speakers who really are knowledgeable about the topic. This subject was chosen because it was one of the top subjects selected by the membership. We did a survey last year, and food insecurity came out at the top as to something they really wanted to hear about in one of our programs. So tonight we have three speakers. I'm going to introduce them all at the same time, and then I'm going to ask each of them to speak for about 5 minutes and then have one pick up when the other leaves, so that we can save a little time, because I want to save as much time as possible for discussion and question and answer after our speakers do their presentations. And let me just connect with Ruth. Betsy Chapman is going to want to share her screen.
Okay. Just a
So if
minute.
you could,
Okay, Betsy, I'm going to make you a co-host so that you may do that. Okay.
okay. So I'm doing this in alphabetical order. Betsy Chapman, John Coney, and Reverend Scott. Betsy has served as director of Oxford Community Market since 2014. She got her start in local food systems working at Yakima Bottoms Farm, learning the business from the ground up. That is both a fact and a pun. All right, a community organizer at heart, Betsy is deeply committed to integrating food security solutions into Oxford Community's market mission and using the market's platform to increase awareness of the issue of food insecurity in our community. Our second speaker, John Coney, is the coordinating director for the Oxford Food Pantry. John is in his 9th year as coordinating director for the Oxford Food Pantry. John and his wife Nancy moved from the Memphis area to Oxford in 2010. John is a retired naval pilot and a retired commercial pilot from FedEx Corporation. They have 2 daughters, both of whom live in Oxford, and both of whom are graduates of the University of Mississippi. And our third speaker this evening is the Reverend Dr. Ricky Scott, who currently serves as the senior pastor at the East St. Peter's Baptist Church in Abbeville. He feeds over 500 families every month as a distributor for the Mid-South Food Bank and the Healing Hearts Food Pantry at the Lafayette County Multipurpose Building in Oxford. Reverend Scott is a board member of CASA of Lafayette County. He is a member of the Memphis Christian Pastors Network, Rotary Club of Memphis, Tennessee, and a business professional serving as the Chief Executive Officer of Scott Trucking. Reverend Scott is married to his wife, Sharon. They have 4 children and 7 grandchildren. And with that, I will turn it over to our first speaker, who is Betsy Chapman. and she will be sharing some slides with us. So I believe Ruth has given you the necessary permissions to do a screen share. And there we go. And you have about 5 minutes, Betsy.
Okay, can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. Good evening. My name is Betsy Chapman, and I am so grateful to be included in this evening's discussion. I serve as director of Oxford Community Market and have been involved in community-based food systems work for the last several years. Oxford Community Market is a nonprofit organization dedicated to improving access to healthy local food. We operate a weekly year-round farmers market that functions as a vibrant hub of community life, a business incubator for local farmers, and as an organizing platform for addressing one of our community's most pressing issues, food insecurity. We operate several programs to help get healthy food on the tables of our friends and neighbors in need, which I'll talk more about in a minute. But first, let's talk about what food security is. It's defined as a state of being without reliable access to a sufficient quantity of affordable, nutritious food. Food insecurity is a more complex issue than physical hunger in that it factors in a household's financial ability to access enough fresh, nutritious food to support good health outcomes. To give you an example of choices food insecurity households face, I want you to take a look at the picture at the top here. This is about $18 worth of local farmers market produce. It's beautiful, it's fresh, it's nutritious, but for that exact same $18, you can get a whopping 72 packages of ramen noodles. A food secure household is often forced to choose cheap processed foods over healthy, fresh foods due to the high cost of these healthier options. There are many factors that influence food insecurity, the primary barriers to food access being transportation and economics. So what does food insecurity look like in Lafayette County? We have 3 low-income, low-access census tracts, over 8,000 food insecure people, probably much higher now due to the impacts of the pandemic. And we have alarmingly higher food costs than all of surrounding counties. We currently have about 1,500 active SNAP cases in Lafayette County. So that's what food insecurity in Lafayette County looks like statistically. Here's what it looks like in real life. This is an email that we received in November from a person reaching out for emergency food assistance. Sadly, throughout the pandemic, we, a very small organization that runs a farmers market, have received an unprecedented number of calls and messages for food assistance. Through our community outreach work, we've gotten to know our neighbors and have learned firsthand how food insecurity impacts their lives. For example, we've heard from several elderly and disabled shoppers recently that their food stamps have been cut down to just $21 a month.
Oh.
It's one thing to know statistically that we have a problem, but it's quite another to know the names, faces, and stories of people struggling daily with food insecurity. It is personally heartbreaking and organizationally overwhelming, but it's also why we double down on our work to address this issue. Our organization believes that to serve our neighbors, we have to know who they are. So we've adopted 3 outreach neighborhoods, CB Webb, Canterbury Crest, and Walnut Hills, to build relationships, develop networks of support, and help meet basic food needs through a diversified community-based approach. And real quick, I'm going to highlight some of our outreach efforts, which include neighborhood fresh food distributions, deliveries of farm fresh food to the food pantry, gleaning projects to harvest farm food to distribute in the neighborhoods, working with neighborhood organizers to get seniors signed up for farmers market vouchers that they can use to shop for produce at the market, We have a group of students who pack and deliver meals for Oxford families every Friday afternoon. Promoting food sovereignty through our neighborhood resilience garden projects. And several nutrition incentive programs to make healthy food more accessible. These programs allow individuals and families to come and shop for fresh food at the farmers market. And while we're very proud of the work we're doing, hearing these stories almost daily of how people are struggling inspires us to build our capacity to do more. And food insecurity is such a daunting issue. It's hard to know where to start and what to do, but I will offer a few action steps. One being just talking about the issue every chance you get, like we're doing here this evening. A lot of communities would like to gloss over issues like food insecurity, but we can push back by building awareness and asking our community leaders to address food insecurity. We can also identify and address other local factors impacting food insecurity, like low wages, high food costs, lack of affordable housing, social isolation, and lack of affordable health care. And finally, we are living through really hard times. And when systems fail, we need to be prepared to help each other in ways we might not be used to. And that means getting busy, getting creative, and organizing within our spheres of influence, within our organizations and churches, among our colleagues, and in our own neighborhoods and wards to build networks of neighbor to neighbor support to help directly meet basic immediate food needs through these challenging times. And to find out more about the market and what we do, here is our website, and you can follow us or just come see us on Tuesdays. Thank you.
Thank you, Betsy. And now we'll just go straight over to John Coney. And John, do you have any slides, or are you going to be speaking to us without slides?
In all my years, I have just a flighting understanding of working on a computer, and I really have no understanding of how to work with Zoom. So while I may have I might have a presentation PowerPoint, but I'm not ability to use it right now. So
that's fine. You just
have to go from about the pantry and what the pantry does, but
okay.
Greatly appreciate, Betsy. I appreciate all the statistical data. I have a little bit of my own, but that's a great way to open. I'm so glad you started this thing out with your presentation. The pantry, we go back to 1984 when we were just giving out food on an emergency basis, but the presence was there and the need was there, and thankfully the pantry of Oxford and Lafayette County has grown to where it was starting in 1999 with having our own facility, and then in 2000
excuse
when we
me,
organized.
John, I'm going to interrupt for a second just so I can
Sure.
ask Betsy to please stop sharing on your computer. So
Oh
we
yeah,
can
thank
see
you.
John. We need you to stop sharing. Go to share screen at the bottom. There you go.
There you go.
Go ahead,
you.
John.
Thank
Sorry for the interruption.
No, that was much needed. I was wondering why that was still up there myself. The pantry has been in line. I'm just a guy that's filled in the last number of years. But the pantry is the strength of 12 churches, 12 congregations, some of which you guys may participate with. And those congregations have come together, and I simply coordinate the transition from month to month as they provide for the local needs of people in need. Food insecurity is a true understanding in this county as in many others, probably more so in other counties in Lafayette or in the Mississippi, but it's here as well, as Betsy pointed out. If you were to go to Wikipedia and look at some of their data for Lafayette, they tell you 20% of the local residency live below the poverty level. If we're looking at 55,000 from the 2018, we're talking about between 55 and 60,000 people. That's 12,000 people that could rightly gain from supplemental food through the pantry or in other needs. And we're thankful that we have the church in Abbeville that also goes through Mid-South and provides. We're thankful to all the additional produce and good fresh foods that we get from the community market. And then we, as an organization, we address the reception of food from Mid-South Food Bank, Mississippi Food Network, and then also from the horrendous generosity of local residency of Lafayette County. In my 10 years of working in this organization, we provide 525 average families food on a monthly basis. Now that adds up to about 12,000 people. Now I just said 1,200 people. Now I just said 12,000 would be the number from my feelings that are eligible. But when you really get down to it, we're serving only 10% of that on a regular basis. So there's a lot more need out there, and these people are proud that people are not stepping up and needing it unless they really need it. And from my opinion, they take advantage, they take advantage and utilize their churches for opportunities. They go and get cash vouchers for opportunities. But from my point of view, those cash vouchers are, as Betsy pointed out, they're being utilized for rent, for fuel for their automobile to get to and from. There are a lot of other things in their priority list besides food. So we find it as a necessary entity to provide a staple of food to those people in this county on a regular basis. We ask our clients to please, if they would, just come once a month. That's not for the lack of food. It's for the lack of opportunity and volunteers to open it up more so to provide on a more regular basis for a family. But when we provide for a family, we're providing, the pandemic changed things to where we don't have people coming into the building. We simply prepare the groceries and take it out to the car for reasons, as you can understand, for the pandemic. But the saving grace of that was before we were giving food based upon family size. Well, now we provide food for a family of 4 for 7 to 10 days. So let's go statistically. 78 to 80% of the families that I provide food for, based off of our database, are families of 1, 2, or 3. Only 11% of our families have a family size greater than 6. So it's interesting from that viewpoint. Then where we're at right now with food, we're actually giving more than what we were giving before the pandemic. So that's a positive. I would like to think that we could reach out and get more people to come and utilize the pantry for supplemental food on a monthly basis. But as a person that handles the database and handles the numbers, we average 525 families. 325 to 350 of those are seniors living on Social Security. There's about 300 to 350 under the age of 18 children, and there's about 700 in our total numbers as that data flows that are getting on a regular basis. So that 1,200 to 1,300 we're seeing monthly, only 10% of that is not recurring. So 90% of the people we're serving are coming every month. They're a recurring number. Which again adds to the point, there's so much more opportunity to give, but the people only come when they really need it. You know, during the pandemic, I find this interesting. Right after the pandemic started in 2019, in that March, April timeframe, when it first hit, our numbers jumped from 525 to 650, 700 families a month. Our numbers went up, and we were not stressed, but we were pressing hard to increase our flow of food and availability. Then the stimulus money came in, and I don't understand this, but after the stimulus money came, our numbers fell back down to normal. So these people, for whatever reason, in their own mind, I call it, it's their own pride and understanding of their own. They took that stimulus money and used it for food so that we went back to normal state. I wish we would have had more. The numbers did stay above average through this pandemic, but as of this last summer, they're falling back to normal range. The true strength of the pantry are those 12 churches. All I have to do in my 12-month volunteerism is transition one church to the next. I wish we had more churches that would step up and supplement and help, but I cannot say enough about the angels of Lafayette County, and that is those 12 congregations that take over for a 30 or 31-day period and make it all happen. The distribution of the foods from where I receive them, and then the distribution of the food to the clients on Wednesday and Thursdays. The pantry has been doing what it has been doing since 2000. And I think the county should be very proud of the hard work that the pantry does. But again, that pantry is not just a small organization. It's all the congregation of those 12, all those different 12 congregations and all those people involvement. We couldn't do it without that. So I can't say enough about the residents of Lafayette County that make this thing work. We've been the recipient of so much help and so much funds since the pandemic that we're going to be able to initiate an addition on our building so that we can increase the amount of refrigeration and frozen foods that we receive through Mid-South Food Bank. And the cost of that is large, just under $200,000. And we're going to be able to do that contribution, or we're going to be able to do that expansion without any additional contributions required. And that's all because the response we've received since the pandemic. But I cannot say enough that meeting the needs, the insecurity of food in Lafayette County is answered so much by the residents of this county that we are like number 1 or number 2 in the state for response to need. So I feel wonderful, and I feel lucky. I feel special to be able to be a part of this. And I thank you giving me the opportunity to speak on that. But you know what? We work in conjunction with other people. We work in conjunction with Betsy and the market, because the market provides us something April through November that normally we wouldn't have, and that is fresh fruit. Not to take away from Boss Farms that provides us some donations every Wednesday during season, but
Hey, John,
it provides us that extra.
John, I'm going to ask you to wrap up here so that we
Yes, ma'am.
can.
I want to thank you. I'm going to thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak on behalf of the pantry. We're there. I challenge every one of you to talk with people in your parish, see if you in your congregations to step up, volunteer, try to get involved with the pantry. Maybe with numbers, I can open up and operate to a bigger extent, to more days. And but I'm greatly appreciative of all that the community does in support of the pantry, and we want to stay an important part of this pantry and to the residents of Lafayette County. Thank you.
Well, thank you. And on that very positive note, we're going to go to a representative of one of those congregations that you are giving high praise to. But before I do, I just want to tell everybody, if you have a question or a comment you would like to make for the speakers, please type it in the chat box, and I'll capture the questions and to the whoever you want to have your question directed to. And with that, I am going to hand this over to Dr. Scott and welcome him to speak to us this evening. Please go ahead, Dr. Scott.
Awesome, awesome. Good evening, everyone, and I thank you all for hosting this great panel. I thank my cohorts, John and Bessie, as they've already given a great defining definition of food insecurity as it reflects hunger. What I do is we have a mobile food pantry. And what this mobile food pantry does is that each month it comes from the Mid-South Food Banks. It comes to the Lafayette County Arena building, which is at 70 Buddy East Parkway. And what we do, the cars just pull up and we distribute food to these families. Now, beginning in about 2 years ago, we started off servicing about 250 families a month. Now, on average, it's 400 families per month, every month. Now, one of the interesting things about the Mid-South Food Pantry is that East St. Peter Missionary Baptist Church, all of our volunteers come from East St. Peter Missionary Baptist Church. We would love for this to be a community effort because it's a rigorous effort, such as what John was saying about the 12 churches that volunteers at the pantry. Well, at East St. Peter Missionary Baptist Church, we services the food pantry ourselves. Now, the interesting thing is the reason why the pantry came was because there was a need. And there is a need, although we try to appease the needs, there is a need. Now, real quick, I want to give a few data. Now, one thing that I found out about food insecurity in the United States is Mississippi ranks #1 in food insecurity in the United States. However, I went to feedingamerica.org to get food insecurity data in Lafayette County, and the last year that they was able to give accurate data was prior pandemic, which was 2019. But in 2019, they said in Lafayette County, it was approximately 8,500 families that suffered from food insecurity, which is a rate of close to 16% of all residents in Lafayette County suffers from food insecurity. It also says that an estimated program eligibility that people that was eligible for food insecurity benefits was 35%, in which it was only 12% that was over the poverty area, and that it was 54% of the people that was in between the poverty area, which maybe needed help with food security benefits. So the question is that how can we be able to help negate, and how can we be able to help these families? By one thing is continuing to have these discussions because it is real. For two, you could take a training program, feedingamerica.org, feedingamerica.org. They host a training program every month that teach counties and parishioners and states about how to deal with food insecurity. Another thing we could do is continue to spread the word. That's what we're doing right now. We're spreading the word, sharing the good news about parishioners such as Betsy and the community marketers, such as John in the pantry, how we can come together and help combat this food insecurity on a local level, which is in Lafayette County. We can also find a food bank or a food pantry to volunteer at. That's food bank, that's Mid-South Food Bank, that's us, that's the pantry, mobile pantry once a month. Or the pantry that John has, that's another way to volunteer. And also with Miss Bessie on Tuesday, volunteer. Another thing, you can partner by donating with these organizations. John just mentioned the donations. Miss Bessie just mentioned the donations. And real quick, this is the data of how we can help in food insecurity. $25 can provide 75 nutritious meals for a family. That's $25. $50 can provide 150 nutritious meals for a family. $100 can provide 300 nutritious meals for a family, as well as $150 can provide 450 nutritious meals for a family. So we see that it's not very, very expensive to provide these meals on a broader basis. However, we need people such as yourself, such as the Voter Women's of Mississippi, such as the Bessie, such as John, to all partner in, come together for a common cause, combat this food insecuritiness, and together we will be a very, very great county to live in. And that's what I have. Thank you. God bless you.
Thank you, Pastor. I'm going to start with some of the questions we have in the chat. Excuse me. We've received a number of questions that want to know to partner with each of you if either the League of Women's Voters or other organizations would like to partner with each of you. How would you recommend that be done? And let's start with Betsy, and we'll go to John, and then we'll go to Reverend Scott.
Just to be clear, was the question how to get involved with Joanne? Was that the question?
I
Well,
think
let's-
it's how can our
Yeah, just-
organization help your organization? You know, what are some of the missing links that you have that we might be able to provide help with?
Well, this conversation and is very helpful. One of the things that our organization wants to communicate is that we are more than a farmer's market and offer all of these programs to help make healthy food accessible. So helping us spread the word and communicate that within your circles would be very beneficial in getting the kind of community support we need to expand what we're doing and make a real difference and grow our capacity to do more. We also have just straight up volunteer opportunities every Tuesday at the market. We need help with our fresh food drive that we have bins set up for to give customers the opportunity to donate fresh food that we take to the pantry. We can also use help on Fridays with our neighborhood garden work and meal delivery. So those are good ways to just jump in if you have time to volunteer to get a real sense of what our mission and our work looks like in practice. But other than that, just helping us spread the word, talking about food insecurity, talking about the component of adding high quality, fresh, nutritious food, and helping us spread the word that, you know, we think that local food systems can have making good food accessible as part of their bottom line.
Okay, thank you. The next question is for how might we encourage more people who need food to utilize the pantry? Any ideas?
I love that, and I wish I had the answer to that question. I would, because that is the focus, I think, of the pantry, is to try to get more people to utilize us. We've always we know that readership on the Eagle is down. So as even when we put notoriety out there on the Eagle, we're not capturing much of the population, and we know that people look at Facebook. But the people that are looking at Facebook probably aren't the people that really need our help. So the function of getting the word out about the pantry, my feeling is, I go along with the Reverend Ricky, is the pulpit. The function of getting the word out for the pantry is I should have a brochure in every church's window or every church's door about the pantry, our hours, and making it available. We find that the pantry is made known through word of mouth, and it's made known through word of mouth by all of its residents. Have you gone by them? You should go by the resident. You should go by there, and it's supplemental food. There is a large 7 to 10 days of supplemental food for a family of 4 is a good amount of food that can last a good time, including eggs and milk and chicken. And thanks to Betsy and her group, fresh vegetables. There's so much there, wholesome availability. If people will simply, I say this tongue in cheek, swallow their pride, take advantage, and come and utilize the pantry as needed to supplement their needs. That's always been what we do for, but we do try to get things out in the paper. We try to put things out there so that people can read and hopefully pass the word.
Okay, and there was another question that wanted to know what the website that Reverend Scott was referring to, and Gail Stratton has put it in the chat. So if anybody wants to access that website, the URL is in the chat. www.feedingamerica.org. Is that the one you meant, Reverend Scott?
That is
Okay,
it.
excellent.
Yes.
Okay. Here's another question for all three of you. How can we empower people who barely receive enough resources from the federal government to survive? Specifically, people who receive resources from government. How can we encourage them or empower?
I think I would like to answer that. I think one of the biggest ways that we can empower those is by letting them know that they're not alone. You know, with the data shows that over 16% of the population in Lafayette County suffers from food insecurity. But one of the main things is that when they say an outpouring of love and an outpouring of support, and here's a key word that I think that matters a lot. And it's diversity. When people see diversity, Bess and I have done a lot of programs together. When you begin diversity, then the people began to see the pillar of Christ, and they become to accept things of empowerment. The only way we can empower by the scripture saying all things work together for the good. So if the question is, how can we empower? By just being there, supportive, volunteering and helping out. I think that's alone is empowerment.
You know, each of you have said something along those lines about reaching out, making the word known. In these days of the pandemic and COVID, how have your operations had to change? Some of you have addressed that, but maybe you can give us some specific examples. Anybody who wants to take it from the three of you?
Well, I'll start out because I want to, once again, I'm getting on my chariot about the good people of Lafayette County, but all through the pandemic, our churches, our seniors, our groups, they put their mask on, they came and they used our sanitation. And they showed up. There was no drop in volunteerism from any age group through the pandemic. And I just cannot say enough about these congregations for the fact that now we had our percentage of seniors that and rightly so back in 2019 and going into 2020, they needed to be cautious about COVID. But there were so many that felt that it was a necessary evil to be out there and helping and doing the work that we do at the pantry, that they showed up. So I think an awful lot of that for us was mitigated by just people's commitment to help the pantry.
Betsy, I would imagine it's an advantage to have an outdoor market these days. How does that figure into what you're doing?
Yeah, so the market operated continuously through the pandemic. We never shut down. We had the benefit of being outdoors. One thing that changed were we used to host a lot of social activities, cooking demos, tastings, and that kind of stuff at the market. We eliminated that and just streamlined our services to essential business of supporting our farmers. And then we really increased our community outreach and found ways to place ourselves out in the community, outdoors, provide services, start neighborhood gardens as a way to continue connecting with the community and become more aware of, what are the needs of the people who live down the street from us. And one thing that Pastor Scott was mentioning about, getting out there in the community and getting to know the people, it just gives you a lot more insight into what is happening that for me is a lot more impactful than numbers. So that's been one benefit, if you could call it that, of the pandemic. It's pushed us to do different types of work in the community.
Thank you. Reverend Scott, you said you have a mobile pantry or a mobile operation. How has that changed, if it has, as a result of the pandemic?
Well, basically, we always had the opportunity. We worked outside. Basically, it really had not really changed the process because we were already, just when the cars pull up, we take the merchandise to the cars. Basically, what has changed is basically like we just wear all our sanitary things such as our masks and our PPEs. But other than that, we really had not had a influence of a change. Now, one thing I will like to say is that even with the pantry, the question that with the mobile pantry, a question was asked, what can we do to help? We would love to have volunteers to come out. Basically, we probably need maybe 5 to 7 volunteers each month. That'll be something as simple as your volunteers can get with Miss Joanne and say, hey, can you get with Pastor Scott and find out when the next food pantry is going to be, next mobile food pantry, because we do it once a month. And this really is a very humbling experience because you're able to see the food insecurities of the county, but you'll be also able to see the appease to the needs. So on one, you will see, it's like bittersweet. You will see the issue, but then you will see the solution for the issue. So if someone want to volunteer, feel free to get in touch with Miss Joanne and find out when the next food pantry, and then like I say, next mobile food pantry, and we'll be glad to have you to come out and volunteer.
Thank you. Another question we have is for all three of you. Do each of your organizations work with university students? Are they either clients or volunteers?
I'll start that one because the university in their community engagement back in 2019 first came up with a program called Give Pulse. And it's an automated software opportunity for the students to just go in and we build events like our Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday working periods, and we put it on their website, and then the students can simply go in and sign up for a calendar event. And we did it throughout this last semester, and we're going in and doing it now into the spring semester, and it provides us anywhere from 6 to 8 students every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday to supplement the church activity as we go. Now, of course, typical with the university, it works in September, October, November, and in February, March, April. And the rest of the time, they're either preoccupied with finals or they're away. Like December is a lost month because they all leave by the 11th or 12th after their finals and they're gone for the month. But it is a dynamic that we really have taken advantage of, especially in the last two years, 20 and 21, to supplement our manpower on a regular basis every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. With it sometimes it varies, but it varies from between 4 to 8. That's what I asked for, students.
Okay, thank you. Betsy, Reverend Scott, anything to add to that?
Yes, we have students coming out of our ears, and we love them. They bring great ideas and energy. Actually, I'll introduce real quick. Our Vista, Jaden Pounds, is here. She is doing a year of service with the market and helps coordinate a lot of our volunteers. So I don't know exactly how many students we worked with last semester. Jaden, do you know? If you don't, that's okay.
On a bad day, we would have about 20 volunteers, and then at most we had over 50.
Wow.
We work with a lot of students, and some just come through to do a few service learning hours, but we have like a core group who've taken on more responsibility at the market and are involved weekly in really important outreach, like delivering the meals on Friday afternoons to seniors. And the food that we deliver comes from the Greek houses. So we have students who've gotten really involved with that. They organize it, they do it. They have developed kids programming at our neighborhood gardens. And then we also work intensely with nutrition students for their service learning hours every semester. We work with marketing students. to give them real world experience. And then last year we started working with social entrepreneurship students. So we work with a lot of students. It's great.
That's wonderful. Thank you. A comment came in about contacting and getting the word out, which the three of you have each mentioned. And the comment was that you could use posters, put them in the windows of grocery stores or pharmacies, doctor's offices, schools, give children flyers to take home from school. In other words, put the information where people go to different places. We mentioned university, so I won't go into that. But a comment was also that some students need food in addition to being volunteers. Some of the students themselves have food insecurity. So just passing on that comment. Any comment on the comment?
Yeah,
Yes, I would like to add that the university has its own pantry,
Mhm.
and it's actually funded by the state. So they have, and of course that food that they receive, that they have, is orientated towards dorm life or apartment life. So there is a strong opportunity for that kind of support within at the university as well.
Okay, Betsy, and then Reverend Scott. Did you have any?
I was just going to mention Grove Grocery too as a resource for students.
Okay, thank you. Reverend Scott, anything to add?
Likewise, I was going to mention the pantry on the campus.
Good to know. Well, we have run out of questions in the chat. Does anybody else have a question or comment they would like to raise? You can just raise your hand and jump right in.
I think Laura just added one about qualifying for the pantry.
Let's see. Well, if you see it, why don't you read it? I can't find it.
How about if I just answer it?
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
even easier. The pantry works under support from the Feeding of America, as the Reverend was saying, and the USDA, United States Department of Agriculture, and they provide the guidelines for eligibility for receiving food. But it's very wide, it's very open. Those guidelines are updated annually, but I can give you an overview that for a family of 4, if you make under $4,000 a month, you're eligible for the pantry. If you're a family of 2 and you make under $3,000 a month, you are eligible for the pantry. And if you are a single or a retiree with under $2,000 a month as an income, you're eligible for the pantry. So those are the basic guidelines. There, you can imagine USDA, when they put them out annually, it's a 4,287 point something, but I'm just giving the basic guidelines of eligibility. And it's actually going up. It's going up. I haven't seen it for actually, we just got it. They come out in October because it's that October to September fiscal. So our new numbers are running closer to 5,000 for a family of 4 than what I said, but still quite a bit of money for a large family, and still eligible for supplemental food from an organization such as the.
Speaking of supplemental food, if a family or a single person is already eligible for the SNAP program, are they also eligible for your programs?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. As a matter of fact, Betsy and I both, Betsy has been kind enough to help, but we hand out SNAP brochures. Whenever we receive them, we hand them out. We give them, now during the pandemic, we put them in the bag so they go to the person in the car rather than during an interview process. But we go out and endorse the release of SNAP to supplement what we're providing as food. Yeah.
That raises.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Yeah, Director Scott mentioned the fact that Mississippi ranks #1 in food insecurity in this in of course of the 50 states. And of course, we see that Lafayette County is number 16th, I think he said. And so I guess my question is, do y'all know any of, do your program or any other program that you know of reaches into any neighboring counties that also may be suffering from this same issue that we have here in Lafayette County, in our neighboring counties, since Mississippi is #1?
Yes, I would like to answer that. Yes, Mississippi is #1. And then the food insecurity in Lafayette County, as you say, is at 15.9, which is 16%. So the Mid-South Food Bank with the mobile pantry, they goes into all of the neighboring counties to be able to service their mobile pantries, in which they come out once a month. Because we did have an issue with families from different counties, and we must say we only service Lafayette County, but we have had Yaloboosa County, we've had Union County, families from other counties coming into Lafayette County to try to get, benefits. So yes, ma'am, we do go into different, the Mid-South Food Bank in partnership with feedingamerica.org, go into all counties to be able to try to combat food insecurity. Yes, ma'am.
But
Thank you.
I have to qualify that for the pantry. The Oxford Food Pantry, under our guidelines and our policy, we only provide food for residents of Lafayette County.
Right.
To receive food at the pantry, you must come in and provide proof of residence, either driver's license, rental agreement, something of that nature, to prove that you are a member in good standing, live in Lafayette County. And now what we do with those people that show up from Yaloboosa, from adjoining counties, we provide them information as to what pantries or other organizations in their county are available, and ask them to please contact those. We can only give them a phone number and press them to go towards those people that are providing it. But we have to abide by our bylaws and and that is that we feed Lafayette County.
Anyone from surrounding counties can come and use their SNAP benefits at our farmers market and receive the SNAP matching dollars. And we do have some data to indicate that we have a good bit of traffic from surrounding counties, but we don't know specifically where our SNAP shoppers live. One way we do try to serve markets around the state is we've done several presentations to describe our community outreach approach and the specific programs that we offer, so that if other markets are interested, they have some resources to get started.
Well, we're coming toward the end of our time together. Let me start with Reverend Scott. What would you like to leave us with? What is the takeaway you most would like us to hear? And then after that, we'll go to John and then Betsy.
Real quick, I seen someone had put in the chat, where can they go to get documentation of eligibility? Basically, I think that was just answered by John. If they don't have a state issue ID, they can have a rental agreement, car insurance, something that just shows proof. The thing I take from this is I love the questions. I love the tenacity and the people who want to put in time to combat food insecurities, because we see that there is a problem. I thank God for this group that have taken the time to even host the panel, even to bring up the discussion, because we know there's a need, but a lot of people don't want to talk about it. I thank God for the panels, the ones Miss Bessie and John. So we must continue to work together to combat, to fight this food insecurity, empower one another, and continue to do all that we can within our available reaches to be able to reach as many people as we can. So that's what I take from it.
Thank you, Reverend Scott, and thank you for your time and your willingness to spend time with us and share your information. Thank you. John?
I would ask that an improvement to influence and gain the population support to the pantry. I would ask that I would really love to see more of our Black congregations come and join the ranks and get involved, because I think it's so important, the integration that Dr. Reverend Rick spoke about earlier, that the people show that that's people of white, Black, brown, they're out there trying to provide support, trying to help. And quite frankly, I wish we had more of those churches stepping up and work coinciding with the congregations, the larger congregations that are there now. Because I really believe that the way we get the word out and we get these people that are eligible but choosing to not utilize us, I think we got to get through their churches. I still go back. I emphasized that earlier, and I'll say it again. The best path to those folks is through their own personal congregations, and we need those personal congregations involved with us, with the posters, with the word, just the word out from the pulpit, the word out amongst these people that please come and utilize the supplemental food that's available through the pantry.
Thank you, John.
Thank
Betsy?
you, ladies. Thank you, ladies, for your interest and being a part of this. Like I said, the strength of this county is what makes all this work, and it's the strength of work like yourself that helps. So thank you for your time and your efforts.
You're most welcome. Betsy, you get the last word.
Well, I think one takeaway could be, and this is something I've thought about a lot over the course of the pandemic, is that we greatly need to normalize and destigmatize giving and receiving help, because that's what we're talking about here tonight. And that's something I've thought a lot about, and how we can do that is by reaching out, like we're doing tonight, and then taking this conversation out into the communities, into our churches, our neighborhoods, other organizations we're involved with, and making it acceptable and accessible to help each other.
Thank you, Betsy. Thank you for your time. We really appreciate it. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to Ruth for the last few closing comments. But I just want to say I've enjoyed working with all of the speakers, being in touch with you, and I look forward to keeping our friendships going. Ruth.
All right. Thank you so much for all of you who took time to attend tonight, and especially to our panelists. I wondered if everyone heard the theme that interwoven in this about diversity, equity, and inclusion. And that is something that we are studying very hard about our own organization, and beginning to look at all the things we do through those lenses, and I think if whatever work, when we try to tackle these kind of problems, we need to see, well, what might diversity or equity or inclusion have to do with the barriers to getting good food into the homes of the people in our community. I'm going to take all of this, that input that we've gotten through the questions and all the things that you've given us back to our board of directors. I know Ruby would want us to do that too, and look and see now, okay, what could the League of Women Voters do in this area? I know it's a point of passion for quite a few of our members that want to get involved in this area. So I hope we'll get back to you all and offer you some assistance in this most important issue. Good night, everybody. Have a great rest of your week and stay warm.
Yeah, good night.
Thank you all.
you.
Appreciate it.
Coming.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Be safe.